It has been 6 long years since we last saw a full album's worth of new material from power metal pioneers Helloween, thus marking the first gap of more than 3 years between albums since the band's very first release in 1985. But these past 6 years have not been spent idly.
United.
I'm going to sum this up in as few words as possible, and I'm not going to do it twice, so pay attention. As of 2016, the band featured guitarist Michael Wykath and bassist Marcus Grosskopf, the only 2 members of the band that have been there since the inception and have played on every single release. There was also Andy DeReese on vocals, who's been there since 1994, Sasha Gershner on guitar, and Daniel Lobel on drums, both of whom joined in the early aughts sometime.
But in 2016, we saw the return of Kai Hansen and Michael Kiske.
Now some might say, what's the big deal? Hansen was only on the first 3 albums. Kiske was only on 4, starting with the second. Judging against the enormity of this band's immense output, they might seem like just footnotes in the band's history. Except that 2 of the albums that they were both on just so happened to be the seminal Keeper of the Seven Keys 1 and 2. Now the important thing to note here is that the return of Hansen and Kiske didn't mean the elimination of anybody else. We now have a monstrous 7-piece, 3-guitar, 2-lead vocalist extravaganza, which gave us the United Alive tour starting in 2016. And finally, this extraordinary new release.
Which cover, thankfully, does not involve any poor innocent fish.
Yes, no fish were violated or even threatened in the making this album cover, which I can't say for the band's entire history.
Check out this jacket art. We got the 7 keys here, reminding us of their fantastic past. Picture the band here. There is a lyric insert in here, and it is on gold vinyl.
Now, the album itself is just packed full of tasty power metal goodness, which is an extraordinary step up from the band's last couple of admittedly kind of lackluster releases. In fact, we're coming off of My God-Given Right here, which, if we're being honest, is one of the lesser albums in the band's storied output. But this might be the comeback of the decade here.
This is a great guitar album, amazing riffs, melodies, and solos, and 2 great vocalists, Kiske and DeReese.
Both of whom are sounding amazing, and it's also worth mentioning that who sings what is extremely well chosen. DeReese's strong mid-register growl, contrasted with Kiske's soaring highs, is at times a stunning effect. Also, I can't talk about a Helloween record without giving honorable mention to Marcus Grosskopf, because we're talking power metal here, a genre of metal in which the bass guitar often is relegated to such a supporting role that you even question whether there was any bass guitar there, and Grosskopf always has a cool line to play. Also, as Maya just pointed out, this is just a phenomenal guitar album. Even on the lesser cuts, and there are a few, there is a cool riff or a cool solo or a killer twin or triple guitar harmony going on.
This is a long album, but it's definitely worth the time. There's only like 1 song that I would ever choose to skip over. The rest is just amazing. It is definitely worth the length.
It's also worth mentioning that in the best of Helloween tradition, it isn't all just speedy, chorusy, double-kick power metal. Here we have a band that can go from such a song with the anthemic Best Time into a scorching hard rock burner like Mass Pollution.
It's
There's also one of the best heavy metal singles of the last decade or so with the magnificent Fear of the Fallen.
Is the road you're taking? Is this the life you're chasing?
And a 12-minute epic with the Kai Hansen penned Skyfall that easily rivals early epics from the band's catalog, such as the monster masterpiece Helloween. Or let's not forget a hard left turn into borderline 80s AOR territory with album closer Saved by High, which I can almost picture Toto having recorded.
I just saved my hide. I just step aside. I don't want to fight my whole life.
Everybody except for Daniel Lobel and Michael Kiske have songwriting credits on this album.
I see that as one of this band's biggest strong points is it is chock full of great songwriters. Original members Michael Wycath and Marcus Grosskopf are both superb writers. Andy DeReese proved his heavy metal penmanship right from his very first record with the band back in 1994, and is probably the most active single writer on this platter, or two platters I should say. Sasha Gershner and Kai Hansen also make their contributions. I was surprised to see so little from Hansen, given what a dominating songwriting force he was on the first three Helloween records, and his prominent role in Gamma Ray down through the years.
Surprisingly, Kiske didn't write anything on this album, but he has an acoustic solo album in the works.
He did in a press statement on the subject point out that in his own opinion, other people are better at writing Helloween songs than he is, which is funny since he wrote some of the best material on the first two Keeper of the Seven Keys albums, and also praises Andy DeReese's songwriting in the strongest possible terms, while further stating that he is using his current solo project as his own creative outlet. To give an overall opinion of this record, mostly killer. I feel that it might have been a little bit more impactful if trimmed down a bit. There's a couple of songs, Down in the Dump and Golden Times, come immediately to mind, that I feel could just as well have been left off, although, especially in the case of Down in the Dumps, it sure does feature a killer intro and solo, so whatever. But there are days I feel this would have been a tighter and more impactful release if it had been cut down to single album length. That said, most of the material is spectacular, and I wouldn't want to be without it. My favorite track on the record is unquestionably the 12-minute epic Skyfall.
I fell from the sky, so don't ask me why I'm feeling so down.
Least favorite? Down in the Dumps, hands down.
I have to agree with you for Down in the Dumps as a least favorite track, and personally my favorite is probably Angel. If you have to make me pick one, Angels.
Angels, 'cause you nightmares. Can't fight them all, the spell keeps you under control.
In the end analysis, this album is a spectacular comeback and a huge gift to the people like me who've been listening to Helloween virtually since the band's inception by bringing both of its major lineups together onto a single platter. I mean, who does this? You have both of the vocalists, actually I should say all three of the lead vocalists that have recorded with the band, because Kai Hansen was also the lead vocalist as well as one of the lead guitar players on 1985's Wall of Jericho. Michael Kiske didn't join the band until the second album. You also have three phenomenal lead guitarists, two of those axe slingers, just so happen to be Michael Wycath and Kai Hansen, who make up the founding guitar lineup. I can't recommend buying this album strongly enough. Go get a copy.
Absolutely. Why are you watching us talk and talk when you could be buying a copy?
Yeah, get on Amazon, click order. Buy one for your mother. She would probably like this. If nothing else, she'll probably want to hang this on her wall because it's just that cool. And no fish were injured in the making of this cover. I need to reiterate that. So that's all for now. Until we meet again.
Crank it up a little louder.
I've had a dream about forgiveness, but I hear the angels say